Hi everyone, welcome back to the Side Hustle Oracle, where we're exploring learnings for side hustlers and aspiring entrepreneurs based on podcasts. And today we are analyzing the really super valuable podcast episode with Harley Finkelstein from Shopify, who's the president at Shopify, who was interviewed on the Diary of a CEO. And he has some really incredible learnings, so stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please do so. It would mean the world for me. And also, if you're looking for a community of aspiring entrepreneurs, find your accountability. Also, if you're looking for a community of aspiring entrepreneurs, find your accountability partner, find your mastermind, then click that link below where you get 50% off on our Tribes community. So let's get started. The first really important thing that Harley Finkelstein is touching on is that he loves entrepreneurship. He finds that, I quote, "it makes the world more beautiful." And I would totally agree, because everyone who engages in a side hustle, and I guess watching this, you're interested in that too, we are following our passion. And that's what makes us more interesting, because now suddenly, instead of working in a job that we loathe and that we really don't enjoy, we are doing something that really excites us. And even if we do have a job that we enjoy, we have multiple interests, and following on our interests, such as our hobbies, for example, can create a wonderful feeling that also will induce this feeling of embracing and manifesting and really realizing our life's work. Now, what Harley also touches on is that many people today shy away from doing that first step, from starting that side hustle or that hobby, because there unfortunately is a perception gap out there. So back in the day, you needed to have, for example, a lot of capital in order to start a business. But what he mentions, and it's something so beautiful, today, the cost of starting a business is close to zero. I mean, take no-code tools. If you want to start something tech-related, you can do it for free. Take marketing strategies. You can get everything out there on YouTube. Take email sending out. If you do cold outreach, it's for free. Even selling products is for free, because if you create, for example, a pre-order, then there is not necessarily an investment that you need to do at the beginning. So today we are in an incredible situation, and this is also something that Harley has touched on, that in the history of creating businesses, right now, it's the lowest that it has ever been. And that's why people should jump into actually really starting entrepreneurship. And we actually see this with the Generation Z. 80% of that generation are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, to be self-employed. And I really do believe that the 9-to-5 is changing because of that, because entrepreneurship is more accessible than ever. And on top, actually, there's obviously the cost of investing and starting something, but then there's also the cost of time investment and potentially failure. But what he touches on is that, first of all, the failing is not as big of an issue anymore, because we can move fast, we can start something new, and it's also part of learning and growing. He, for example, shares that in the end, he becomes very vulnerable, and he shares that he has started multiple businesses that actually didn't work out. And in the end, all of those different companies that he started made him an expert in understanding what is Shopify, made him made it possible for him to be the president for Shopify and now do the storytelling around the company. So failure also has something good, and we don't need to shy away from it, because if we fail today, we are not broken, because we don't need to do that big investment, because everything is moving so fast. People are looking for that entrepreneurial mindset. And actually with that, it's only something positive. Now, what gets us to starting a business? There are two things that he mentions. One is passion and the other one is desperation. Passion obviously is something if you have a hobby that you want to turn into a business, or if you're have that idea under the shower. He even highlights that obviously not every idea we need to act on immediately. But if that idea comes up multiple times, why not try it out? In fact, most people on Shopify actually don't register their business until they have made their first profit. So there are many, many people like you and also me who's also starting an e-commerce business right now where we might not be fully behind that idea yet. And we also can't know for certain that it's going to work out. But since there's not a big capital investment, we can just try it out. And once it works, that's when we can start registering the business. And the other side is the desperation. So that something has happened that really makes us say, okay, this far and not further, I need to change things and I cannot continue living like this. And that's why I am going to go that different step now. Like, for example, David Goggins famously, right, who has been working night shifts and gained hundreds of pounds and then realized, what am I doing with my life? I cannot continue like this. And from one day to another, because of that desperation, changed his life entirely. And also fear actually has been scientifically proven to, induce more energy. So there have been a test done with mice where there was a cheese dangled in front of them, and then on the other hand, there was a cat that was chasing them. And where were they pulling stronger if you had a rope behind them? And they were pulling much, much stronger with the fear of being eaten, which totally makes sense. And so that's why, for example, one of the women in Shark Tank actually loves investing in people that have gone through some kind of trauma. Obviously, that doesn't mean that if you have not gone through a trauma that you can't start a business, but it often sparks something, it creates something. And that's why this is often another big reason of when people start something. They're in that survival mode and they're like, I need to get out of this right now. And also in regard to failing, what that creates is a self-awareness. And it's very important to note that failing is not a sign of inadequacy. It's only an opportunity for you to learn, to grow and adapt and to do it over again and really just go for it and take all of those learnings and put them and that energy into your next venture. Then a big part that Harley and Steven Bartlett talk about is skills. So Harley went to law school. He also DJ'd on bar mitzvahs when he was younger. And later on, he came to realize that all of these skills actually enabled him to be the president of Shopify. And now you might be wondering, how does that connect? But actually, and that's also the beauty about side hustles, that if you do or if you learn something else than your usual skill set, you will be able to apply things from different areas into the new ones. And that can really differentiate yourself because that's creating a picture that is super unique and that probably no one else has exactly like that. So that gives you insights into how you can execute something that no one else will be able to do. And the important part obviously is that it's complementary skills, but oftentimes I find that you can't know beforehand, is it going to be complementary or not? And I personally believe that actually it doesn't have to be complementary even, because there is always something that you can take out of. But that's what they have been touching on in the podcast, that complementary skill sets are enhancing your entrepreneurial journey. And this other part that Steven actually touched on is this aspect of skill stacking. So he, for example, mentions Cristiano Ronaldo. He might not be the best shooter, the fastest runner, whatever you might want to take on the different skills with as a football player. He is not the best at each of them, but he is part of the top 10% of multiple skills. And that's what makes him, in many people's eyes, the best footballer. So Steven mentions that if you have 6 complementary skills where you are the top 10% in, then actually you are the best in a million in that. And that really means something. So I would encourage you to think about what are those 6 areas that you can maybe somehow connect with each other, like really super not related, DJing, the law, and then being the COO at Shopify. Those are completely 3 different areas, but that's what make Harley what he is. So think about those reasons and think about those areas and those topics that will make that unique picture. And that's also actually what can bring you further in terms of what kind of businesses to create. Because Shopify, for example, was not the first one offering the simple creation of shops. There was, for example, Yahoo shops before. But many of the tools that were existing beforehand, they were focused on big companies, or they were very focused on one specific niche. And what Harley touches on so many times is that it's important to do something that's better, that for a certain group creates more value. And it also doesn't need to be only that one group that you always focus on. And that's where Harley, for example, mentions this aspect with power users. Many companies only focus on their power users, but what they did, they reversed it and they tried to think about, okay, what are the most regular people that might be thinking about using our product? And that's really what they focused on, to make it super easy for the normal person living anywhere, not having started a shop before, that they can manage getting their shop off the ground at the beginning without much difficulty, without many barriers, so that they can really get started quickly, test it out, potentially fail, and do it all over again. And that's where people were really coming to talk about this very important topic of resilience. Resilience is the key. And from all my entrepreneurial friends, I've heard this as well so many times. You just should not give up. If you believe in what you're selling right now, then you should keep on going and keep on trying different marketing methods. There are so many versions out there today of how you can grow. If there's not a product being sold within the first week, it doesn't mean that your business fails. It's super important to keep going, to stay on. And that's also where I want to mention again the Side Hustle Oracle community. Come and join us, motivate each other to stick to it, to keep on going. Share the challenges in the masterminds with your 3 other peers and have them solve your challenges for you, so that each month you can move a big step forward, stick to it, stay on it, have your accountability, and get going. Back to the topic. Another differentiating factor that Harley mentioned is the attention to detail. And that's what Shopify also offered. Besides making it super easy for people to start and not only focusing on those big corporations, they focused on detail. That really everything, every little piece is fitting perfectly to actually smoothen and making that process easier. And if you do focus on that detail, you really can differentiate yourself from other people as well. Because many people just want to put out all kinds of different products and different features and tap their feet into so many things. But actually, like my partner always said, that's the death of features. If you focus on really every detail and every rubric is being fully smoothed out, it works really well. And only then maybe move to a new topic. That's really where you can make sure that you take care of all the things that matter and that make the experience with the product almost to perfection. And that's where you can differentiate yourself from many people today. And talking about the Side Hustle Oracle, I love to hear from so many people that I've listened to on podcasts these days, where they stress the fact that it's not about how you execute, but actually whom you seek to execute. What does this mean? First of all, mentorship. Harley stresses the fact that he, for example, sought out mentors for parenting. And I say mentors in plural because he stresses the fact that there's not one perfect person that can help you in all kinds of different areas or even within one big topic all the time. Like, yeah, kids grow, and maybe someone was really good when the kids were younger, but then when they become teenies, maybe that person didn't execute so well. And so to find those people that can help you learn, that can give you valuable tips because in your eyes, you believe they've done an excellent job there, and really seeking out those people as well. Most people want to help. And today it's super easy to reach them, either through a community like ours or through Reddit, seeing who's responding there, through LinkedIn, just approaching people and seeing if you click and maybe they are willing to help you. And that other big part is that you have a tribe. That's really where Side Hustle Oracle comes in as well. To have people around you that are in the same situation as you. They might not be in the same boat going in the exact same direction, but you might be jumping into that boat at the same time. So you need to figure out as well at the beginning, okay, how do we paddle? How do we cope with storms that everyone will come across? How are we making sure that no water is coming in, that we're going to the direction that we want to go in, like giving these metaphors? I'm talking about accounting, I'm talking about marketing, I'm talking about getting that first customer. No matter if you have a DJing business or if you have a fashion brand or if you have a food brand, you will want to get your first sale. You will want to start some kind of marketing. You will want to start some kind of website. And that's really where you can help each other also on top without being in competition to each other. So you can really be super open, sharing tips that work for you. And then your community, your tribe partners can try and see if it works in their group. And maybe it's even something that no one in that niche has done yet, and that's what might enable them to explode. And also what Harley stresses is that you don't need to focus on just one group. Once you may grow faster than the other one, you can find new people again and reshuffle and potentially maybe then become a mentor, because now you've gotten so much expertise that you can help someone that you've started off with together. So those people, that who, is really, really important. And even if you don't get in direct contact with them, that's a tip that I want to mention, which wasn't mentioned in the podcast. Find those idols and really like those people that you look up to, that might be on YouTube, that might have their blog, and study everything about them that you can. Go back to all the beginnings and see what have they done, what have they tried out. Maybe see already what didn't work so you can scratch it off if those are your competitors, for example. And lastly, Steven asks Harley where he would invest $3 million in today. And he gives 3 different areas. One is content creators. That's a topic that Gen Z really loves and thrives in right now. And that's also where once you have that community, you can really test out things and grow things forward without just pushing out another print on shirt, but actually say, okay, this is the topic that I'm known for. Like he gives the example of Kylie Jenner. If you look back, she really was interested in makeup. So she didn't just launch a makeup line because it fit her brand. No, she loved makeup. She thought about what does she know that she can make a makeup brand better with, and then use that knowledge to make that better makeup brand and then launch it. And as we all know, it was a huge success. Same goes for Feastables from Mr. Beast. He didn't just launch any chocolate and put his logo on it. He really thought about, what am I missing in chocolate today? And making it better, and that's what made it a success. The second thing that he mentions is to do something that's super, super specialized and niche, where he gives the example of this guy who focuses on black t-shirts to perfect the design of black t-shirts for all different types of body types. So if you have a topic, for example, there where you know that you have looked into so much and you could really release all different kinds of product within that one very specialized topic, niche topic, then go ahead and do that. And the third thing is, and I feel like we see that more and more today, is to launch a product that is accessible for the masses, although it's known as something that is costing usually a lot, like a good camera, like a good microphone, maybe a really beautiful high quality bag that instead of it coming from Louis Vuitton, it can be sold for 200 euros and you still have a big margin on it just because it looks beautiful and it's great quality, but it's not this super 90% kind of margin on top. So that's also really where you can innovate actually and differentiate yourself and find that value that makes it better, and therefore, even though those markets seem saturated, still succeed in it. And I want to summarize this video with a very wonderful analogy that Harley gave, which is that he is looking for the people that on the days where the waves and the tides are perfect, are grabbing their surfboard to go in and try it out instead of taking their towel and being on the beach. So you need to think for yourself, would you be that surfer that goes out there and tries things and doesn't matter to get washed by the wave over and is going to try again? If that's you, and even if you're not 100% sure, remember that it's super cheap today to start something, and the cost of failing, the cost of starting is basically zero, except for the time that you put in. And so I would highly encourage you to start something. Think about what it is, what your skills that you can put together are, or what that one thing is that you've learned, and start something. Join us on the Side Hustle Oracle community and help each other grow and really act this time instead of just fantasizing about the idea under the shower. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, and I'm looking forward to giving you the next summary of valuable podcasts on the entrepreneurial journey. Ciao.